Today, I'm interviewing Dr. Rashma, and she gave me and you one of the best advices I ever heard. And it's an advice that she gives for teacher, but I actually think it's true for all of us. And the advice is, don't wait for the storm to pass. Learn how to dance in the rain. So enjoy Dr. Rashma. I'm sure you're gonna love it. Hi, Reshma. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Ami. Is that the way I say your name?
I'll mess up your name. You'll mess up my name. We'll be totally
Fair
fine.
enough. Fair enough.
So, first question, and I always start with the same question: how did you become an educator?
Well, it's a long journey. When I was a kid, there was a lot of role play happening where I would be the teacher, and I had an entire list of kids from my brother's class who were the students I was teaching. My brother was 2 years younger to me, and it was very strange. But then suddenly, all the mommies started, asking me to teach them this and that, and so on and so forth. So, cut to when I actually graduated. I went ahead and did my B.Ed, which is a qualifying course if you want to become a teacher. And my first job gave me that realization that I really loved what I had picked up as a career. And that's when I started my journey with education and connecting with students throughout all those years till date. It's been a wonderful journey. And I was so happy that I found my calling very early on in my life, and that really helped me till date. So it's very exciting to be an educator, to be among students, to be able to make a difference. And I think that is what made me an educator and keeps me being an educator till date.
And you're starting as a young. By the way, you're a little bit like both my daughters. They are both teaching other kids, and it's kind of funny that now when they're very busy with their life, like young kids that learn with them still want to learn math with them. But you start a journey which is like very personal, like one-on-one with kids, etc. Then you become a teacher in a class, etc. But then you move to senior management. There's a very big difference between running like a classroom to running an education empire. How this change appeared in your life?
So being an educator was always closest to my heart. But then, like you say, when you develop a certain personality, there are certain aptitudes that come along with it. So, as a part of my education, the journey towards educating young students, there came in little things that I discovered that I could do very well, and one of them was leadership. So when I started with my career, I was just an educator, a facilitator, going into a classroom, and my favorite was science, though science and English both are my forte, and I loved science. And in that journey came up this little thing about leadership, probably about leading a team, about getting a group of people, together and kind of performing a task. It became a project that came to you. So from being an academician, I moved on to being the head of activities. Then I took on being a more senior role in terms of an after school module for students. And from there, it so turned that I took on the journey of, getting to a coordinator's position, and then a vice principal, finally a principal, because it is the aptitudes that help you grow, the skills that, you realize you have, and the skills that you realize help you do things bigger and better. And being a people's person is, I think, the most important part of that skill set is when you enjoy interacting with people. So that naturally comes through as a warmth, and it gives you an entry into a lot of things. And from there you start learning, gaining those useful nuggets of experience. And from there you get into administration. And when I am now a principal of a K-12 school, it is, everything that I have learned in the past, in the last 2 decades plus, it's, suddenly comes into a point where I can apply it to what I'm really doing right now. It's been a
And
brilliant journey.
You're talking about this personal interaction, while the children that are growing up today, and also the teacher, if to be honest, they, the virtual communication took a very big part of their life, right? We see it in, from the mobile phones to Zooms to whatever, video games. Uh, how does the virtual aspect, and I'm not talking teaching on Zoom, I'm talking about the fact that we are all living in a very connected world right now. How does this impact education, and what are like the risks there? What are the opportunities there?
So if I get you right, you want to understand what the opportunities of a virtual connect?
Beyond that, like, so for example, I see that a lot of children, so for example, my son is here in the house, right? Is right now playing a video game with a friend in the United States, and he probably have more human connection with this specific friend that live on the other side of the planet, rather than the children and downstairs, right? It's a huge thing. So I see like a big risk there, that is like he would prefer to be in front of the screen versus playing a game. I also see opportunity that he can maintain amazing friendships all around the world. So and this is like from my specific parenting example. I'm sure you see it in a broader aspect of children in your school.
Yes, I mean, what I would like to say about this is today the world is, kind of, I would say, a scape where the borders have blurred, right? So you're very close to people, like you said, belonging to different countries. When we look at children and what COVID has done to us, the 2 years where virtual learning took a huge platform, it lent us a way of communicating with things that we initially thought were beyond our control. And incidentally, today, such things really exist. Even if you look at professionally, at a time where probably meetings would happen over phone calls and Zoom or a Google Meet, or even a Skype was not that prevalent at that point of time, let's say 4 years back. Today, it's something very normal. I mean, the two of us are connecting and talking to each other just because of this technology. So I would say it has both facets to it. It's a coin with two sides. And I think bringing out opportunities completely depends upon how we connect better with the younger generation and how we help them understand about the difference between good screen time and not so good screen time. I will not say bad screen time. So case study, there was this study when a particular student belonging to grade 10 underwent a psychometric assessment, and the psychometric assessment clearly stated that the aptitudes or the skills that the child had were reasoning, analytical, technical, and these were classic skills which kind of recommended that the child take up engineering as a career after grade 12. Now, this kid knew very clearly that engineering was not her forte, and she was very interested in psychology. So the question arose as to how is the psychometric assessment really helping? And then, cut to a few years later, this kid is topping the scores on video games, which she's playing with children, like you said, across the world. And then it's that time that you realize when talking to the parent that, all right, these skills are there, but this is where the child has applied these skills. So I certainly think that the virtual world is here to stay. We cannot take children away from it completely. What we can do is educate them to optimize opportunities that they can probably receive through the virtual world. So yes, it is very important to have a one-on-one interaction, simple life skills or simple skills when you meet a stranger or a new person, within your scope. How do you even introduce yourself? How do you strike a conversation? How do you apply the social skills that you should in a particular setting? So I think these are very important, and that's the whole idea where people even go to physical schools, right? Because you have a social connect that exists there. But at the same time, how much can you completely do away with, screen time or technology, connecting with each other? I feel it's a wonderful thing if somebody sitting in one country can connect with somebody in another country. Imagine a teacher has to go on a leave But usually, when a teacher is not in a school, you're stuck without a teacher. But imagine the teacher being able to conduct a virtual lesson from wherever she is and whatever emergency she may have. I think it's a beautiful thing because you're giving children the best of both worlds. So I do feel
I
it
understand.
needs to be thought very positively.
Okay. Now let's talk about teachers, right? As we said, the world changes, the teachers are changing as well, etc. What is the advices that you usually give new teachers that come to your school? After you interview them, you like them, they're great. What's the kind of start working pitch that they will receive from you?
So the start working pitch that they would receive from me, there's a question very close to my heart. It's actually a quote that I, tell all of them. And this quote is, "Don't wait for the storm to pass. Learn to dance in the rain." So
I love it.
yes. So I say there would be a lot of things, going on. You're a school, and when you're in a school, things are like, they move around like a hurricane. There are so many things to be done together. So I said, don't wait that, once your assessments get over, then you will do this. Don't wait that once a particular annual concert is over, then you'll focus on something else. I said, let the storm remain. You learn to go ahead and multitask, dance in the rain, learn to do that. So don't limit yourself to a particular constraint, which usually people set for themselves mentally. I feel there's nothing called as a constraint that you cannot overcome. So that is my first advice to teachers. I said, to be an educator, you can't be completely, right in thinking that we need to kind of prioritize things one after the other. I feel that you're in the position, a chosen profession, where you really, really need to learn and multitask, where multiple things could be happening at a time. Learn to dance in the rain with that, same energy that brings you joy and gives you the reason to be in a school, educate students. That's always my advice to facilitators. There's one more advice, that I would give to them, because as educators, we are connecting with students day on day. We could be having a bad day at home, and there could be times where you're also connecting with colleagues. So the other advice that I give them is, the what of things is very important, sometimes even essential. But I said it is about how you are dealing with the what. That is very, very important. So, you can tell a child or you can tell a colleague very clearly that I don't think what you're doing is right. So that is the what. Of course, that's something you need to get across. But at the same time, if you're going to do it in a better way, so it is the how you do it. You could always be telling them that, look, I think I appreciate what you've done, this particular thing in a certain way. But I do feel that the outcome would be better had it be done in this particular way. So I always say that it's not what. The what is always right. You need to communicate the what, but you need to add the how you do it with the what. So these are two
I just
advices I give all my teachers.
I love those advices, and especially I think, like, it's almost like you tell them, when you go sometimes to a theme park, they will say you might get wet. I think in your case you're saying you will get wet for sure, but you will enjoy dancing in the rain for sure. You will not wait for the right moment to start dancing. I love it. And just because you had like such amazing advice for teachers, is there specific advice that you give students when they come and seek for help, or this is a little bit more general?
Well, no. If I have a student coming to me for help, the first thing that I would do is listen to him very, very carefully. And in all circumstances, in today's age, if you see, you're the one who's learning from students, right? Students could come to you with very particular concerns that typically to an adult may sound nonsensical, but for them, it's very, very important. So the advice I give to all students is certainly basis what they come to me with. But one advice I give to all students, even in general, I advise them to follow their calling. I advise them to be very, very careful in actually understanding what their aptitudes are versus what their interest is. Sometimes an aptitude and an interest could vary in terms of even choosing their own paths. So I certainly ask them to recognize their aptitudes, what is it that they have in them as a skill, and then recognize their interest and compartmentalize these two things. Of course, this advice is for the more senior students in the community because they're already thinking of what they want to do in their future. But a lot of times, an aptitude not matching with an interest can be a future disaster.
It's interesting. When we started BriBooks, uh, one of the, like, I knew that I wanted children to write books, right? But I also knew that there is like a psychological element to that. When you flow your words and your thoughts and like almost instinctively on paper, or in our case on a platform, a lot of the things that you discover is the things that you're interested in with. And we saw it over the time. There's like hundreds of thousands of people that wrote books now. A lot of them are saying that they got some form of clarity. So this is about just like putting your ideas out there. And the second thing that I also, I mentioned it in this podcast before, I'm repeating myself a little bit, but the other thing that I noticed that some people, some children are enjoying writing, the actual, and some enjoying the marketing. Like, so the book is ready. Like, how do I get the world to know about it? And some people are enjoying the selling, the business part of writing a book. And it's fascinating to see it because usually you see either the kids that are like amazing in marketing and sales or amazing in writing, but that they understand that the world is like very, like, those are very different skills, like to be alone and write, or to be forward facing public readings, etc., or to actually convince people to sell you. And I think this, in this triangle, it's exactly what you're saying. Identify what kind of sings well, where do you feel comfortable, and all that. So it is an amazing journey to watch it. So, but I would want to take you to like I two more questions that I have for you. Parents are very worried nowadays, and especially in India we see it, like, a family will have a child or two many times. They're thinking about the future of the child, the future of the family, etc. And they are pushing, and it doesn't matter what social background they have, etc. There is a very, very strong push, and the children or young adults, they are like, I have to do it because my mom told me, because my dad told me, because I feel pressure to do it. How do you, like, what advices do you give here to parents? Because I'm sure, like, I always see that, like, I always said that the educators, probably one of the educator best roles is actually to educate the parents and not the children. So what advice would you give those parents? And I'm sure you do it very often.
So basically, it's a small case study where you have an admission form, right? And I always give this example to parents and tell them that when you filled up this form and your child was just entering school, in the preschool, and in this form, there are questions. What do you want your child to be when he or she grows up? And there is a whole list of options. And one of the options there is to be happy. um, Invariably and essentially, every parent over there checked the box that said, I want my child to be happy. And then I tell them, as children grow up, that I want my child to be happy slowly changes into different things. And in fact, anything else which annotates not happy, by means of pushing them to do some things which probably are without considering, like I said, their aptitude or their interest. So when I asked parents why so, and then they say real world, then they talk competition, then they talk entrances, and they talk a lot of complex things. I said, when your child is, very small, he's in preschool, grade 1 and 2, you want him to enjoy. He goes to the sports ground, he plays. The same child, when he goes to grade 9 or 10 or 11 and 12, this is the situation in India. You tell the child, stay home, don't play, focus on your studies, board exams. So I said, what does this do to the passion of the child? Because everything that a child does apart from academics is a stress buster. So when you take out the stress buster, you're actually adding stress. What kind of outcomes do you really, expect? So I said, as parents, our biggest job is to help children gain opportunities, give them the opportunity to pick up something that they really, really like to do. And honestly, speaking, Ami, in today's world, when you get out of, let's say, a grade 12 into the real world, academic scores, they do matter. They certainly do matter. But along with academic scores, what also matters is how good are you at public speaking? How good are you at communication? How good are you as a leader? How good are you at community services? What is it that you did differently? Like you just mentioned, children writing books, selling books, the entrepreneurial factor. So how good of an entrepreneur can be? How good as a team leader can you be? Or for that matter, how good can you be with just expressing yourself? It is essential that a child needs to be well rounded. So when a child is pressurized to do something he or she may want to do, but I think that the child needs to be showcased an opportunity and offered a bouquet of things that the child can choose, and then it's a win-win situation. I mean, when you're allowing your children the freedom to choose, there's nothing more that can actually contribute to his or her success. And eventually, when you go out into the real world, you look at universities, you look at seeking admission to the best of universities, they're the skills that you have that really, really count. They are the achievements that you have other than getting those scores in place. I mean, you could be a 99% holder, but if you're not a good public speaker, if you're not good at communication, you don't have those skills, they're just the kind of people who don't cut through in the real world because they have no way of putting them there and succeeding as an individual with such quality. So I think being well rounded is a very important aspect of a personality. And this is what I tell my parents, that yes, marks and academics are important, but it's important to develop a personality that helps your child succeed. I think that is the mantra, if you would call it, to succeed in the real world.
It's interesting you're saying I'm the youngest of four, and my brother is 14 years older than me. My biggest sister 12, so I'm really the baby. And so my mother did like a stage on all the other kids, and with me, she had one thing. She said to me always, "I only want one thing for you. I want you to be happy. I can't care what you do. I can't care less what school you go to. I have no desire in anything. The only thing I want you is to be happy." The second thing she did, and that's a separate discussion, is she said, I don't mind what you do in life. The only thing you need to give me back one day is you need to give me a university diploma. I don't care which university. I don't care when. You can do it at 30. You can do it in 22. I don't really care. But your responsibility to me as a mom. Now, in other words, what she said to me, goal one is happy. Goal two is have your options open. But you'll figure out how to do it, and it is quite amazing. By the way, I'm trying to do it with my kids. I'm not doing so well. I have like I think I'm getting better, but it is very, very, very tough. So this conversation was just like an amazing conversation. I really just want to give you another option if you like want to give all of us any advices for the future as an educator. It can be to anyone, anywhere, any type or not. It's really up to you because we have so many amazing things already.
So my only advice to any educator or anyone out there is to help a child be happy and successful in life. And I think as educators, we need to do everything in our capability to promote that, to create that interest, and to help a child succeed, not just academically, but also as a human being. And I think the important outcome out here is to create a wonderful human being, is to create somebody who's a global citizen. And I think that's what we need. And there's where we need our children to be at a certain point of time. So let's give them those wings to fly and fly high.
Dr. Rashma, thank you very much. It was very insightful. I especially like the concept of don't wait for the storm to pass. Learn how to dance in the rain. I will take it personally with me. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you for this. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.